Hey everybody, Kris here from Rasayana, and welcome to my live read-along of our June selection in my Body Book Club, which is The Art of Living by Thich Nhat Hanh. And we're going to be listening to a section of Chapter 6, Letting Go, which is about healing. Imagine that. So this round, we're actually going to be listening to it from audiobook. I was not able to get a printed copy to read to you personally, so I'm just experimenting here with these read-alouds and with the technology available, and thought we'd try listening to it while I do some meal prep. I'll be chopping some veggies for my meals in the coming days, and thought you could listen along with me for about 10 minutes, and then we'll chat about some of the themes and my thoughts about those themes with regard to healing and generational healing specifically. So give me a minute and let me get started.
Chapter 6. Letting Go, Transformation and Healing. When we know the art of how to suffer, we suffer much less. We're able to make use of the mud of our suffering to grow lotuses of love and understanding. Living our life fully and deeply requires courage. If we cannot be happy right here and right now, we need to ask ourselves why. If we're having difficulty touching peace and the wonders of the cosmos in our daily life, there must be something getting in the way. We need to find out what it is. What's weighing us down or pulling us away from the present moment? The art of living happily is also the art of transforming our afflictions. If we want to be happy, we need to identify what is preventing us from being happy. The path to well-being is the path out of ill-being. Sometimes we suffer, but we don't dare to admit it to ourselves, let alone to others. However, only by facing our suffering can we find the way out, the path to well-being. A meditator is both an artist and a warrior. We need to use our creativity and courage to cut through whatever is holding us back from being happy or being free. It's as though we're entangled. We may be entangling ourselves or letting others entangle us. We may even live as though we are saying, "Please tangle me up." We need both the insight born of meditation and the courage of a warrior to cut through the obstacles on our path and the ropes that entangle us. In the words of the first Zen teacher in Vietnam and China, Master Tang Hoi, letting go is the action of healers. Disentangling yourself. We may be entangled by our projects, our work, our fast-paced way of living. We may be caught up in our craving or restlessness. We may be blocked by our sorrow, anger, or fear. We may have been entangled our whole life by the ropes of anger and fear, or weighed down by a grudge we can't shake off. A relationship with someone close to us may have become overgrown and buried by weeds of misunderstanding. Or perhaps we are caught up in seeking status, money, or sensual pleasures. All these things prevent us from touching the happiness, peace, and freedom that is available right here in the present moment. To disentangle ourselves, we need courage and determination. It takes courage to change our livelihood to one that is more in line with our deepest values and aspirations. It takes determination not to get carried away by projects that make us feel stressed and overworked, causing us to neglect ourselves and our loved ones. It takes courage to sit down with our partner, friend, or family member and open up communication. Each one of us needs to identify our ropes so we can cut ourselves free. We have to make time to sit down and ask ourselves honestly what is entangling us. Wanting to untie the ropes is not enough. We need to understand why those ropes entangled us in the first place before we can free ourselves from them. How long do you have left to live? What is so important that you let it get in the way of your chance to live deeply and happily? get your priorities straight, you can let go of the restlessness, frustration, anxiety, and resentment you've been carrying. Very few people are truly free. We are too busy. Even if we have millions of dollars, even if we are famous, influential, without inner freedom, we can't be truly happy. What we all want most in the world is freedom. Each one of us has our own idea of happiness. We may think our happiness depends on having a certain job, house, car, or person to live with. Or we may think we have to eliminate this or that from our lives in order to be happy. Some of us think that if only a certain political party was in power, then we'd be happy. But these are just ideas we have created for ourselves. If we let go of our ideas, we can allow ourselves to touch happiness right away. Our idea of happiness may be the very obstacle standing in the way of our happiness. Letting go. You already have one piece of paper on which you listed all the conditions of happiness you have. Now you need to take another piece of paper, find somewhere quiet to sit, and make a list of everything that is entangling you, everything you need to let go of, including your ideas about happiness. Just naming what you want to release will make you feel lighter. The more you can let go of, the more lightness and freedom you will feel. Letting go is a source of joy and happiness, but it takes courage. Suppose you live in a busy, polluted city and you want to get away for the weekend. You may say you want to get away, but somehow it never happens because you can't let go of the city. You get entangled in the city, so you never see the sweeping hills and the forests, the beach and the mountains, or the moon and the stars. But when a friend finally helps you get away, you begin to feel free as soon as you have left the city behind. You feel the fresh breeze on your face, and you see the wide horizon, and this makes you feel good. This is the joy of letting go of the city, of leaving your entanglements behind. Transforming suffering. Sometimes the obstacles to our happiness is not something we can cut through or let go of easily. A deep feeling of sorrow or despair may establish itself in our hearts, and we need both the fearlessness of a warrior and the skill of an artist to transform it. We can take refuge in our Buddha body, our spiritual practice body, and our community body to help us do this. In 1954, Vietnam, my homeland, was divided into North and South. The war was raging and dragging on, with no end in sight. This was when my mother died. It was a very painful, difficult time for me, and I fell into a deep depression. There was nothing the doctors could do. It was only through the practice of mindful breathing and mindful walking that I was finally able to heal. My experience has shown me that the practice of mindful breathing and mindful walking can help overcome depression, despair, anger, and fear. Every step and every breath can bring healing. If you are depressed, try to practice mindfulness of breathing and walking with all your heart. Even if you do it for just 1 week, you will be able to transform your suffering and experience relief. Do not give up. Keep coming back to your breathing and walking. Keep trusting in the qualities of fearlessness and perseverance that are there in you. Your seeds of awakening and compassion will help get you through. When we're facing a personal crisis or suffering from depression, we may feel that life itself is the problem. We may think that if somehow we could throw off this body, then we would not suffer anymore. We want to shed this mortal coil in order to go somewhere where there is no more suffering. But we have seen that this is not possible. Life and death are not what they seem. To be or not to be, that is not the question. There may be birth and death on the level of conventional truth, but on the level of the ultimate truth, to be or not to be is no longer the question. The teachings on emptiness, aimlessness, signlessness, and our 8 bodies show us that we are so much more than this body. There is no separate self-entity that can leave this body and go to a place where there is perfect bliss, a place free of suffering. Peace, freedom, and happiness can be found right here in this very life. if only we can learn the art of handling our suffering. Thanks to having a body and to being alive, we have an opportunity to heal and transform our suffering and to touch true happiness and the wonders of life. Whatever we can do to heal and transform ourselves is contributing to a more beautiful continuation body, not only for us, but also for our ancestors. Who is suffering? When our despair is overwhelming, we need to be able to let go of the idea that our suffering is our own, that this body is our self, and that this body belongs to us. The insight of interbeing and no self will help. Not having a separate self doesn't mean we don't suffer. When conditions for suffering come together, suffering arises. We feel it, we experience it. And when conditions are no longer sufficient, suffering ceases. The good news is that suffering is impermanent. There doesn't need to be a separate self-entity who suffers. In fact, when our suffering is very great, we can be sure that it is not ours alone. It may have been transmitted to us by our parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents. They may never have had a chance to learn how to transform their pain and suffering. And so this suffering has been passed down for generations. You may be the first one in your family to have encountered teachings and practices that help you recognize and take care of this suffering. When we are able to transform our suffering, we do so not only for ourselves, but also for all our ancestors and descendants. Knowing that you are doing this with them and for them can give you the courage and strength you need to overcome even the most difficult moments. And we know we are cultivating a good continuation body for the future. Our body is not our own individual property. It is collective. It is the body of our ancestors. In our body, we have our mother and father, our nation, our people, our culture, and the whole cosmos. If we are overwhelmed by despair, we may think that destroying our body will help. But the insight of interbeing shows us that destroying our body would be killing our father, our mother, and our ancestors in us. It is possible to let this suffering, which is not ours alone, pass through the body. Bit by bit, with fearlessness and perseverance, it can be transformed. Surviving the storm. It is possible to use our breathing to embrace our
Yeah, that was a section of Chapter 6, The Art of Living by Thich Nhat Hanh. This month's or next month's selection in my Mind Body Book Club. And the idea of this generational healing that is a part of our own evolution is something that I really have started diving into personally more in the last 2 or 3 years, this idea of generational healing, and that these patterns of suffering that we've inherited from generations past, even in upwards of 8 generations, it's said, can certainly impact our subtle body, our behavior, our habits. And these are topics that I started to integrate into my signature program, Alchemy Club, where one of the core competency lessons in chronic pain relief and mobility is generational healing, and some of the aspects that you can practice in the meantime. Something as simple as designating a candle to be lit on the anniversary of the birth or death date of your honoree or family member, ancestor. By the way, ancestors can be non-human. They could be a beloved pet or any sentient being. You can call upon them. Might even be an old oak or willow tree that grew in your backyard growing up. That could be considered an ancestor. So kind of spending time to honor ancestors on a regular basis, and something as simple as lighting a candle on an anniversary date or birth or death date, or in some cultures, particular holidays are designated to honor the dead and our beloved from the past. I'm thinking of Dia de los Muertos from Mexican culture, as well as some practices in India that, forgive me, the name of the specific holiday is escaping me. Maybe if you know, you can add it into the comments below. But similarly, celebrating ancestors from the past, calling upon past generations through the use of music, prayer, sound, even dance. I know a lot of the Native American tribes here in Colorado, a lot of the indigenous groups, so the Ute and the Apache and Arapaho tribes would use dance and call music to call upon their ancestors for advice. I like to also create some altars with snacks or favorite treats of my beloveds. Those are other ways to honor your beloveds. There are many other ways too. And if you're interested in knowing more, just put a little comment below or drop an emoji, and I'll be sure to follow up with you with the message and a little handout that I have on how you can actually work with your ancestors and practice these habits of generational healing with them. Call upon them, talk to them, ask them questions for guidance, tell them whatever it is that you wish to tell them. And these can be people that you might not have ever met. Maybe some have passed before you were born, or you just, due to circumstances, weren't able to have these people physically in your life. So you can call upon perhaps photographs or stories that you've heard about this person, and honor them that way. Thank them for their sacrifices to your family. Acknowledge the challenges, struggles, addictions, fears that they had, and thank them for their perseverance, that they can in fact now rest and replenish. And on the altar, I will practice putting little treats, whether it's a favorite candy, like my dad passed 2 years ago and he loves M&M peanuts. That was like his favorite candy. So I had some of those on the altar. My grandmother loved to drink Coronas. So I always have a Corona open and a glass poured for her on the altar when I'm honoring her birthday, which is early June, coming up very soon. And I tell you, just being able to have these practices of designated thought and prayer and ceremony have certainly added a different layer to my personal healing. And I think they might you too. I'm curious what your experience is, or desire to know more about generational healing is, and how you think it's related to patterns that you have, good and bad, right? Because we inherit not only the trauma from our previous generations, but we inherit our ancestors' resilience and strength and wisdom too. And so these kinds of practices are very much to support the whole life of these individuals, and that cellular memory that is imprinted in us, that we carry with us. And those were the things that came to my mind as I was listening to that section earlier in the week, and wanted to share with you tonight in this live, I should say, listen along, not even a read along, but typically it's a read along and I'm reading from the book physically. So thanks for joining. And if you're interested in actually coming to our Mind Body Book Club, we meet about every 6 weeks in downtown Colorado Springs, and our next meet will be on Monday night, June 2nd at 7 p.m. If you're interested, let me know. I'll shoot you the details. And you may want to also download the Rasayana mobile app, where I have a virtual section of Mind Body Book Club with discussion threads and replays of these live read-alongs as well. Hope you're well. Hope to meet you, and keep on reading and learning. Bye.